And good afternoon, East Alabama and West Georgia. Dr. Don in here with you for the possibility of severe weather on this Friday afternoon, March 3rd, 2023. It is coming up on 12:04 this evening, and we are watching for the possibility of severe weather outbreak across East Alabama and West Georgia. So here's the situation at this hour. We have a new tornado watch that has just been issued by the Storm Prediction Center, and that tornado watch area is outlined in purple. You see flashing on the screen. That is in effect until 4 o'clock Central this afternoon, 5 o'clock Eastern. For those of you that basically are across Talladega, Clay, Randolph, Hurd, and North, you are covered by this tornado watch. You folks down there in Coosa, Tallapoosa, Chambers, down into Lee County, Harris, over into Troop, and points to the south, you are not covered by this tornado watch at this time. So basically, from about Sylacauga over to Mellow Valley to Roanoke and Franklin North, you are covered by this tornado watch. It's in effect until 4 o'clock this afternoon. We have a couple of areas of activity that we're watching on radar at the moment, and let me take the tornado watch off so the radar screen is not so cluttered. And you will see that we're looking at a couple of different areas of activity. We have one thunderstorm complex that's way ahead of the main line that is moving to the northeast, just north of Montgomery, down there in Elmore County. That's going to continue moving off to the northeast. It'll push on up into southern Coosa. Eventually, it'll make it up into western and northwestern Tallapoosa, and then probably will make it into Clay and Randolph as well. So we're keeping an eye on that. Don't really anticipate this stuff that's out ahead of the main line. We don't anticipate that to go severe, but it's possible, so we'll watch that. We have another area of activity there just north of I-20 around Leeds, Alabama. That's moving to the northeast. But the main show is back over here across West Alabama. This is where our main energy is located at this hour, and you'll notice the National Weather Service, all of those yellow flashing boxes, those are severe thunderstorm warnings. And the Weather Service is pretty much warning for every segment of that line. I'll zoom out, and you can see that that stretches from the Alabama-Tennessee state line all the way down to Tuscaloosa. So they're warning for that entire line of thunderstorms as it moves off to the east, with individual storms moving to the northeast. So if you're in the path of that line of storms, you can pretty much guarantee that you're going to go under a severe thunderstorm warning as we head on into the afternoon. Typically we have these events during the overnight into the early hours of the morning. So normally they are weakening as they move through Alabama and Georgia, but this is a different story. This line of thunderstorms moving through during the peak heating of the day, and weather conditions are set up almost perfectly for severe weather across Alabama and Georgia. So there's no reason to believe that these storms will be weakening. They should be strengthening as they move across Alabama into East Alabama and then eventually into Georgia. So we have no reason to believe, if you are ahead of this line of storms, odds are really good now that you will have severe weather, or at least a high threat of severe weather as we go into the afternoon and early evening hours this afternoon. So the main threat right now is damaging straight line winds and brief torrential rainfall as these thunderstorms move through. We have not seen a tornado warning in Alabama so far. But again, understand these storms are really now really just getting going. So if they continue to increase in intensity, we certainly could see a few tornado warnings this afternoon across central Alabama and eventually portions of East Alabama and West Georgia. So, as I said in the early morning forecast, for those of you who watched it this morning, this is a conditional setup, meaning that we certainly have instability. We certainly have about 4 of the 5 ingredients you need to have severe weather. But we have one limiting factor, and that is a warm nose, or what's referred to as a warm nose. That is a layer of warm air in the mid-levels of the atmosphere that kind of has the atmosphere capped. It's kind of like putting a blanket over something. And as the day goes along, if that warm layer erodes, or if the strength of that warm layer becomes weaker, then it's going to remove that cap off of these thunderstorms, and then they will be allowed to grow to heights above 25, 30,000 feet, and then that's where we have to get to really get good severe weather parameters in place. So that's a limiting factor, and also upper level wind profiles today are just off the chart. I mean, at 5,000 feet, we've got winds at 50, 60, and 70 miles per hour. So that is producing some shear on the top of these thunderstorms and blowing the tops of these storms off. So if that shear lessens and if the cap breaks, this could turn into a red letter severe day across portions of Alabama and Georgia. We certainly hope that does not happen. So far, those 2 limiting factors have kept the storms somewhat in check. But as we go throughout the afternoon, that could potentially change. So this is going to be one of those days that you're really going to want to make sure you stay weather aware, situational awareness, know what's going on around you, understand where the severe weather is and where it's going and where you are on a map, so that if a warning is issued for your particular area, you'll get that information and you can protect yourself. Let's talk safety just for a few moments. If you're in a mobile home and you're in a watch area, you should go ahead and leave that mobile home right now. Go to a friend or a family member's home and ride out the storm there. Go shopping. It's in the middle of the day, so you can find a store, go somewhere, and stay inside until the storms pass. We could have a storm at pretty much any time across East Alabama and West Georgia, but the main line is still at least 2 hours away, maybe a little longer than that. So, but again, because the threat of severe weather is there pretty much all day, I would go ahead and take those precautionary measures. Have a plan in your home and your place of business. Know that you're supposed to go to the lowest floor in your structure. That would be a basement if you have one. If not, go to the ground floor, center of that ground floor, maybe in a closet or a bathroom. And you know the drill here. Make sure that you take something to protect your head. Baseball helmets, bicycle, motorcycle helmets are a good idea. You're going to want to carry a blanket with you, a mattress off of a futon, baby bed, anything that you can cover yourself with to soften the blow of debris. Is a good idea. Make sure you have on hard-soled shoes and a something to make a loud noise with, a whistle. One of those cans of compressed air. In the event that you are covered by debris, you'll be able to make enough noise so that rescuers can find you quickly. These are all good ideas that you should have in place, and if you're at work today, make sure you know where your safe place is at your place of business. Make sure you know where the evacuation point is. If you're at work or at school, you want to make sure you stay away from open span areas, such as at a school. A gymnasium and cafeterias are typically not the best place to shelter during storms. You want to make sure that you're, again, away from exterior walls, and make sure that you're on the interior of the lowest floor to best help protect yourself. So that's kind of the situation we have at this hour. Again, for those of you that are just joining us, a new tornado watch has been issued. I'll show that to you again on the map. This tornado watch basically picks up where the old one left off, and it's basically central portions of East Alabama, the northern portions of East Alabama, and across portions of northwest Georgia, and that stretches all the way up into Kentucky and even further north on up into Indiana and Kentucky as well. We have a low pressure system that is moving across Tennessee at this hour. It'll be up there around Nashville, Tennessee. That's where the main body of energy is located with this storm. We have a trailing cold front that stretches from the Nashville area back down to the southwest. And as the low pressure system continues to move off to the northeast, it will drag that cold front across the state of Alabama. Now, the closer you are to that area of low pressure that's moving through Nashville, the better your chances are of seeing severe weather today. So obviously, the further north you go from central Alabama, the better the odds are that you'll see a tornado or two. And we do have a tornado warning up there on the Indiana Tennessee state line at this hour, but no tornado warnings down here in Alabama. We do have plenty of severe thunderstorm warnings as the Weather Service, it appears they're going to warn for every segment of that line as it moves across the state of Alabama. How far south does this go? Well, at the moment, it's basically, as far as East Alabama is concerned, we're talking about Talladega, Clay, Randolph, and Heard County north is where the best area, the best chance of seeing severe weather is this afternoon. Could that be extended a little further south? Absolutely, it could. And just because you're not under a watch down here in Coosa, Talladega or Tallapoosa and Chambers and Lee doesn't mean that you can't have a severe storm down there. You certainly can. So even those of you that are maybe not in the watch, but you're close to the watch area, you want to pay very close attention to how this evolves as we go through the remainder of the afternoon. So we're watching this for you this afternoon, and we'll continue to come back and give you updates as conditions warrant. Again, a brand new tornado watch in effect until 4 o'clock in Alabama. That goes until 5 o'clock for our Georgia counties that are covered under the tornado watch, and we will update you as conditions warrant as we go throughout the remainder of the afternoon. You've been watching live severe weather coverage from Dr. Don's Weather. I'll be back with you shortly. Stay with us.